Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this week's meeting of Essex Business Forum. I'm Maylin Squires, I'm your meeting chairman. I take you through the meeting. I'm assisted by my leadership team. They should be outstanding and introduce themselves. Please.
I'm Vincent. I chair the membership committee and I'm also the official timekeeper.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Terry. I'm the membership and recruitment.
Good morning, I'm Scott Privis, you all know that. I'm your meeting secretary, looking after the Performance League and managing our live chat.
Hey!
You no longer the handsome face.
Wow, that's
Actually, now we're looking at second time.
Just face it, Luke.
Sure. Good morning, Brian, Social Secretary.
Thank you, Paul. Please be seated. Brian distancing himself from the naughty corner, which is probably a good thing under the circumstances. Right, I'm standing in for Ben, who is not with us, but as you'll know from the emails he sent round, he's looking to come back on the 27th, and he's doing well, so that's great. So moving on, the Performance League is first. Scott.
Right, so we start a new month, all the scores are reset, and let me tell you what it looks like up towards the top of the table. The good news, he's not here today, the good news is Matt's nowhere near. We're all fine. Top three. Third place, 64 points, scored by Paul Corrigan, put your ear down, well done. 68 points, places John Hannon in second.
Oh, wow.
So, that's fantastic. 88 points, remember our target benchmark for the month, already smashed it, week one, 101 points, Paul B. So that's where we are, 101 points so far. I'll pass that around, you can see how it's all made.
Thank you, Scott. In my role as Ben today, I'm going to introduce the education slot, and it is the Mayor of Gainesville.
You think it's, we ink it. That's my memory book. Some of you around the table use a memory book. It's an effective way to sign off your 60 seconds. And as it's the last words of your presentation, that's what people tend to remember you for. So it needs to be short, sharp and punchy, like Tina. I did ask for permission to do that before us. It can have humour, it can rhyme, it's almost considered to be your signature at the end of your 60 seconds. So let's see who remembers each other's memory books. Who says, help is just a phone call away?
Oh, Brian.
Brian, talk about you. How about, I'm not a 9 to 5, I'm a start to finish. Well done. There's also maximise tax, minimise wealth, Paul.
Oh.
Or was it the other way around? Hang on, I've written it down. Minimise tax, maximise wealth. Some creative ones I've heard over the years include the portrait photographer. I'll shoot your family so you don't have to. The gardener, we're blooming marvellous, you know that is as well.
Yeah.
And the estate agent is everything we touch turns to sold.
Oh.
And then the travel agent, Chris, this is for you, buddy. Come fly with me. There you go. The plumber, autumn, winter, spring, summer. Call Big Paul if you need a plumber. And Toby, I'm going to be invoicing you. You're not having this for nothing, mate. Life coach. Get a life, get a coach. Toby Acton, life coach.
I'm not a life coach.
No, I knew that. I can't remember what you do, to be honest, but I know it's not a life coach. And the pest control, license to kill.
Yes.
So for your homework this week, I'd like those of you without memory book, that's most of you it seems, is to think of one for yourself and employ it in next week's 60 seconds. Scott has agreed to award 15 points to those who come up with something, and those of you that don't, you're going to have to do the washing up. Here you go. Finally, in the words of somebody very well known and respected, a professor, possibly, former Prime Minister, someone from The Only Way is Essex, I've got no idea who she, he or they are, but their quote is thus: memory books can enhance the effectiveness and productivity of weekly network group meetings by facilitating learning engagement and collaboration among participants.
That's definitely someone from Sally.
Okay, so that's
Can't remember who said it.
German, I think.
so that's Vincent. Vincent, what a great guy. That's not a memory book, but it's true. You're welcome.
Thank you. Does that 15 points count today if we do it?
No, next week.
Next week.
All right, I won't bother now then. The business card box is going round. Please refresh your collection. Please also make sure you're adequately represented in there. Actually, at the moment, don't worry, because it's quite full. That's going round, and as that goes round, bits of paper in there. When did we get this totted up? Right, we move forward to the 60-second round, or the 1 minute round, whatever. Vincent is the timekeeper. He will make a noise after 50 seconds, and after 60 seconds. When you hear the 60 seconds bell, wrap it up and sit down if you haven't done so already. Last week, Terry won the Oscar. He will be listening carefully, and we'll award the Oscar at the end of the round. Right, without more ado, let's get on. Terry first, Scott is second.
Good morning, everybody. Terry Maylin from TM Law Solicitors. Not just tell you what I've been up to this week, which is turning work away. And we all have to do that, and it's a very important part of what we do, because it's really easy to just take work on and then regret it later. So, for example, I had a lady ring about dental negligence claims, all a bit. Anyway, she said the treatment was in July 2021, and she first noticed it was wrong. It's a cosmetic treatment in September 2021, so that's 3 years ago, bar a few months. And she was astounded that I didn't want to take it on because the limitation, the time limit was approaching. So I referred her to other people, like you do when you don't want to take it on, but it's just a lesson really. You know, you've got to filter what work you take on. You have to be careful. It's tempting because you might be quiet, or you might think, where's my next job coming from? But you need to filter the work that's coming through your door. So make sure you do. Terry Maylin, TM Law.
Thanks, Terry. Right, Scott, you're next, and you're followed by Toby.
Good morning all. It's still lovely and busy, thanks to mostly you guys for sending me lots of work. Actively working on projects for about a dozen of you around the table currently. But I thought I'd just remind you all this morning about the conversion machine that is live chat. It's really simple, really easy, $15 a month. It's what it costs you, no contract, to add that service to your website. Providing that there's someone sat at a desk or ready on a mobile phone to engage with those visitors or people that want live chat, it's dead easy to turn it on. Why don't you just give it a try at $15 and then helps you to turn those visitors to your site into engaged customers. So if you're interested, give us a shout. Scott from SEO, making the web work.
Toby, you're followed by Brian.
Good morning, everybody. Some of you may recall that I recently, a few months ago, did a motivational mapping project for a charity for the homeless in Harlow. As a result of that, I've now become a trustee of that charity. So if ever anybody's able to offer support, I'll tell you some of the things we're looking for. Things like spray deodorant, tea bags, long life milk, sugar, coffee, biscuits, sleeping bags, underwear and socks, new ones, please. Boots, shoes, thermos flasks, other clothing such as tracksuits, backpacks, gloves, hats, tissues, wipes, sanitizers, and anything like that you've got lying around, preferably new, that you're able to donate, or if you ever come across it, then please do bear us in mind. So yeah, any help would be gratefully received. So that's Toby Acton, happily helping homeless humans.
Hopefully, if not new, please. Moving on from Toby, Brian, and Brian's followed by.
Morning, everybody. I help people to be free of unwanted habits. People have phobias such as fear of spiders, flying, and public speaking. I help people who have a random panic attack. And by random, I mean you sit at home, relaxing, or socialising with friends, and suddenly their heart starts beating rapidly, have difficulty breathing, they perspire, stomach churns, they feel tight in the chest. This is a random panic attack which I can get rid of. And of course I do have hypnotherapy. So I'm Brian, hypnotherapist, pilgrim hypnotherapy. If you know any of those categories, please let them know that I can help. Once again, Brian, hypnotherapist, pilgrim hypnotherapy, through the wholeness of life through hypnosis.
What you described, Brian, is not only a panic attack, but could be a mist. Right next is Shannon, and she's followed by Mike Skinner.
Good morning, everyone. Shannon Savage from Downton Mortgages. Clara sends her regards. She is now in Dubai looking after her nephew. So she will be working this week, off and on, but I am holding down the fort in the UK, so business is still operating as normal. If you know anyone that needs help with their mortgage, please send them our way. Shannon from Downton Mortgages.
Good. Thank you, Shannon. Mike, you're next. You're followed by...
Good morning, everyone. Mike from Brentwood Media. So I'm looking to book up into July and August now. One of the things I'd like to get a lot more of, if possible, is working with different types of training academies. I mean, these cover all sorts of different industries. We're based in Brentwood, so there's loads of nail, hair, beauty ones, things like that going on. But traditionally, there's also a lot in construction, management training, skills and crafts, and also a lot of medical courses and things like that. Video works really well for it in two terms, both in terms of covering what they do and using it to sell the courses to people, also as a training aid for the tutors on the course, and yeah, it's invaluable for that and saving them time. So I'm looking for any academies, any training centres or contacts you might know within. It's Mike at Black Media, making your business look the business.
Excellent. Right. Right, sorry, where was I? Nick. Yes, Nick is next, and he's followed by Vincent.
Good morning. You may recall 2 or 3 weeks ago, in my 60 seconds, I mentioned a couple who were buying a house. The house had been the roof had been insulated with spray foam insulation, and as a result, they couldn't get a mortgage on it. So, because the spray foam it conceals the timbers, it stops the air circulating, and it leads to rot. So they called me, or the mortgage company said, you need a structural engineer to check the timbers are okay. Then we might give you a mortgage. So they called me and explained the situation. And I said, I'll happily carry out an inspection, but someone's got to take the foam insulation off, otherwise I'm not going to know what condition the timbers are in. The sellers actually did that. Turns out when they appointed a proper spray foam removal specialist, they couldn't do it because it was damaging the roof tiles. They took the roof off and built a new roof. So I looked at the roof, gave it the thumbs up. In my report I said the roof is fine. They've got their mortgage, so they're very happy. So if you know anyone who is thinking about insulating their roof with spray foam insulation, I give them those advice. The advice is don't do it. Thank you.
Vincent, the next you're followed by Chris.
Hello again, Vincent from Speedprint. You may have heard me say Speedprint, the only printing company that gives you a Vince. Well, this particular job illustrates what lengths I'm prepared to go to make sure my regular clients are happy little bunnies. So my client needed some flyers to take to a trade show on the Friday morning. Print one was 1,000 cards, printed full colour, plus an additional Pantone colour to metallic blue. I couldn't do that because I can't fulfil that kind of job, so I gave it to a specialist printer to do for me. And after he had the job for a week, I was told on a Thursday afternoon at 3 PM that they were unable to complete the job. So after much sweating and swearing, I placed the job with a local commercial printer at 4 o'clock Thursday morning, and it was delivered back to me 9 AM the following morning. My bill for that was more than what I quoted my customer, so I did make a loss, but it was important to me not to let my customer down. I was willing to take that risk. Anyway, thank you. Speedprint, the only printing company that gives you a Vince. 15 points.
Thank you. Chris, you're next and you're followed by Melissa.
Good morning, everybody. Barcelona. I don't know if anyone's ever been to Barcelona. It's such a fantastic city. I'm lucky enough to have family there, just outside of Barcelona. But this is for a 3-night city break, and I thought I'd sort of offering us this week. £500 per person, going on the 27th of June, so what, a couple of weeks away, something like that. You stay at 4-star Barcelona Ravel in Barcelona, which is right in the centre. If anyone's ever been there, there is an amazing food market in that just now. An amazing food market just off of the Rambla, which you can find anything, spices, meats, cheese. It's just fantastic, it really is. You're about 15-20 minute walk away from the local beach, which is busy, but it's worth seeing. And anywhere that you want to see in Barcelona, so you're familiar, anywhere like that, you're within some distance. Departing London Gatwick, bags are included, but it is subject to today's availability. It's one more thing as well, passports. If anyone's travelling, you've got this 6-month rule, and I would ask you to check the passports if you're travelling, especially if you're going further overseas. It has to be valid 6 months after your date of departure and 6 months departure from that country. So it's worth checking. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Melissa, you'll follow.
Good morning, everybody. Melissa Jackson, licensed insolvency practitioner from Francis. So this week I've been dealing with a new client, which came from a referral from my website. I don't know if that was a bit of a fluke or whether that was because of something we've done. But it was always very nice to get a referral through your website and to actually find out from the client that, in fact, they didn't want to go with a local, larger firm of insolvency practitioners because they weren't happy with the service that they could get. They came to me, they spoke to me about their concerns, I explained to them what the process was, and they were very, very happy to sign me up immediately to do the work for them. So this particular job was in fact not an insolvent company, but a solvent one, where the director wanted to get money out of the company in a tax efficient way, so that he could go and invest it elsewhere. So if you know anybody who is looking to get their money out of the company and wants to wind it up, then come and speak to me. Melissa Jackson, from Francis. Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa. Paul, you're next.
Good morning all. This week I want to talk about our home heat plans that we can offer. We've been doing it for a while now, but basically we will service your boiler, we will do a whole house health check on your house, on your property. Any issues with your boiler, heating system, we will cover for a certain fee per month. We do two, we do a heat plan and a heat plan plus. Basically, heat plan plus is unlimited call outs, that's the difference. It's a very special person, pretty pleased as well. So, yeah, so we do all plumbing, all heating obviously. It's perfect for landlords because the tenant can just call us direct. They don't have to go through the landlord, the landlord call us because they just pay a monthly fee. So anyway, that's me. Autumn, spring, summer.
Stuart, and you're followed by Blake.
Good morning, Stuart from LG Networks. There's nothing worse than getting into something, it's not much worse than getting into a dispute with a good or a loyal customer or a potential new customer where you they could just be acquiring one of your services and they say, how much was that?
£100.
£100. I'm sure you said it was £85. I don't know, it was £100. And then you get into this, was that £100, £85? And then the worst escalation from that is, are you calling me a liar? No. Call recording sorts all of that out. Okay? It's really cheap, like £5 a month. Okay? It stores your call for up to 6 months, included in that. If you want longer, you can have it longer. But it immediately takes any dispute out of any sort of misunderstanding. Straight away, you say to a customer, don't worry, let me go back, listen to that call, and we'll get it sorted out straight away. Takes all the emotion out of the dispute straight away. So if you know any businesses trade business over the phone, make quotes or any kind of give any sort of advice, then call recording is really simple, really easy, really cheap. Stuart, LG Networks.
Do you have to, do you have to, don't sit down. Sit down. Can't remember what I was going to say. Oh, you have to tell people the call's being recorded.
You don't have to, you have to take reasonable measures. So if it's on your auto signature or if it's on your website.
Sorry, you're out of time.
Right. You don't have to announce it on every call.
from Ammo will go to Outdoor Airsoft Supplier. This week we're coming up to some holidays. Wow. Some holidays coming up. Anyone knows anyone who's going camping, hiking, anything outdoorsy, to the beach for the day, I can supply all of their camping needs, their hiking needs, bags, stoves, trolleys, ration packs, everything for a day out, hiking or camping, I can supply. And that's Blake from Ammo, dominating the outdoors.
I'm next week. John, you're next and you're followed by Leah.
Good morning everybody, I'm John Hammond from JH Technology. And this week I'd like to talk about CCTV. Our CCTV we can view on our phones. It's not just the quality of the picture you've seen on the live picture, you've got to take into account the quality of the recording. It's no good having a brilliant live picture and the quality of the recording is awful and you can't use the data. But more to the point, is it actually recording? Is the camera live? All the CCTV systems we install will email you out to say you've got a problem. So you know about it before you have to call the police and play back an image that you haven't got. So if you want a good system and you want it done right, call me from JH Technology, applying technology to security.
Sure. Leah, you're followed by Howard.
Good morning everybody. Did you know that I am dedicated to transforming busy lives through exceptional spaces? I create beautiful functional interiors for clients who don't have the time or ideas to do it themselves. So that's from a modern apartment to cosy homes, I handle every detail from concept to the finishing touches. My passion is turning your vision into reality, ensuring each space reflects your unique style and meets your lifestyle needs. So whether it's a complete redesign or just a little refresh, I'm here to make it amazing. That's Leanne from Brooklyn Interiors.
Thanks, Leah. Howard, followed by Jen.
Morning everyone.
Morning.
How welcome to Financial Advice. We're independent financial advisors in Billericay. I'm being selling business away this week, Terry. A gentleman phoned up on Monday, acting as a power of attorney for his mother, just went to care and just sold the house. I wanted to invest £500,000. Well, I explained to him, given his mum's age, she's 90, and given her health, it's unwise to invest in anything other than just savings accounts. You don't go into anything that's going to fluctuate in value. All right, you might make a bit of money, but that's not nearly as important as not losing some money on that investment. So I sent him on his merry way. I reminded him he can't do any inheritance tax planning, because acting under the power of attorney, he's got to act solely in his mum's interests. So I kind of pissed his chips a little bit there. I think it was already decided that he was exotic this £5 million. And I was like, no, go and stick it in Nationwide. Thank you very much.
For next week, think of phrases like, just on his chips, but it tends to be like probably on your builders or smashing your store. Yeah. Thank you. Next, Jay. Followed by Tina.
Oh dear, I want to talk about something delicious, and that's rather put me off. Yeah, it wasn't lovely. Jane Maylin from the English Green Tea Company. So today, Roger and I are doing a full afternoon tea for 72 people at Fagan Boys Village Group. It's an art society, and I get the impression the average age is 75 to 85, which is fun. However, not one of them has a food allergy. There are no gluten-frees, no vegetarians, and I'm thinking there's a connection with the age of it. And if they'd been youngsters, I bet about half of them would have said they can't eat this, that and the other, which is fascinating. But also along with the afternoon tea, I'm giving a talk on etiquette. And what will inevitably happen, as it always does, is I'll explain, no, you never use a knife on a scone or a scone. And what I'll see is them all cutting them with their knives. Everything I say will go to pot the moment the food's in front of them. Never mind. It's always time for tea, and Jane, sitting down, we deliver a fresh take on tradition.
Thank you, Jane. Tina. I follow her, and Paul follows me.
Good morning, everybody. The sun's out, and I'm looking for people Want to take the day off or want to take their clients out and either go hiking, golfing, but they haven't got time to organise it, ask them my details because I'll be happy to help them. So that's me. There you go.
How will they go into it?
Then I do 2 6 not 9 to 5, from start to finish. Thank you.
Me, isn't it? Yes, I'm followed by Paul. Taking the smart from TM Law. Terry and I provide a range of services for small and medium-sized businesses. A referral to one of us can often follow up with a referral to the other arising from it. I've recently done work on some contract for employment for a client of Terry's who lost at the Employment Tribunal. So one of his rare wins referred to a job for me. I often get debt collecting for him through clients of mine that I'm acting for. And this is why referrals to me must come to me at TM Law. Quality HR we only use for servicing our clients in things like disciplinary hearings when we attend or something like that. If you want that little bit more, come to me at TM Law.
It's next week.
Well, I'll say it again next week, best thing. Right, Paul.
Morning, Paul Booth of Booth & Co. I've been looking at my pen here. What's that saying now? Above there.
Chartered certified accountant.
That's correct. So we're chartered certified accountants. What that means is we're fully qualified. We're part of the biggest professional accounting body in the world. There's lots of accountants out there who aren't qualified or are qualified but by a sort of a very tiny, irrelevant sort of accounting body. We have to have professional dental insurance, we have to have CPD, we have to do lots and lots of different regulations that a lot of accountants don't have to do. So for a fully qualified accountant, please put them my way to Paul Booth & minimise tax.
Right, thank you, Paul. Thank you all. Terry? Yours.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, there's some very good efforts in things like yours, really good.
But not good enough.
Not good enough. Blessers, really good, very informative. But most informative of all, and told us what they were looking for specifically, a specific product, very clear, easy for us to make referrals, was Stuart.
Thanks, Terry. Well done, Stuart. We move on. Moving on is the meeting secretary's reports. Have we got anything for us?
No.
There was a synergy team meeting this week. Paul.
Yeah, we had a synergy team meeting this week. Yeah, it was on Tuesday, B2B Finance and Professions, second Tuesday of each month at George and Dragon, 4:20 PM. Send the next month's invite around near the time. 5 of us. Had a good meeting, a bit noisy in there, wasn't it? But we managed to get through it, and yeah, I'll send the next invite around to close to next month's meeting.
Yeah, we were in a pub and they were drinking and shouting. Right, we approach the 10-minute presentation. Before I do, we do, first for the speakers and things going forward. Stuart, 10 minutes next week. Toby as the Ed slot. And on the 27th, it's David, but the Ed slot is Ben. So we'll look forward to that. Right, let's deal with today. And today is TM Law, Terry Maylin. Position of the company is South-Southwest. They are solicitors, Whitford in the world. A personal bad experience with food, eating green Thai chicken, and it was herbs. I'm thinking it had herbs in that made it green. Something to admire in others, determination to get where you want to go despite setbacks. How to relax, cycling 500 plus miles. And the movie that he recommends and why, The Italian Job, because you're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off. Terry, take it away.
Bye, Melissa. Bye, Melissa.
Bye, Melissa.
So, good morning again, everybody. Terry Maylin, you know who I'm from. For the newer members, I've just introduced who does what at TM Law. So I deal with all the litigation, so suing people for all sorts of things, really. As I say, my tagline has been, I don't care, I'll sue anyone for anything. Don't discriminate. So that's the sort of work I do, personal injury, debt collection, commercial disputes, landlord and tenant, that sort of work. My friend and colleague Aidan does the non-litigation, the non-aggro work. He does agreements, commercial agreements, advising clients, wills, LPAs, employment stuff. And he works with another colleague of ours, David, who happens to be his next door neighbour, believe it or not, he's a solicitor. And I think David helps Aidan with any more complicated or lengthy sales and acquisitions, and also does our probate work. So that's our little team. Our virtual team consists of our good friend Tina, who I couldn't do without, who is wonderful, and we've also got a virtual telephonist as well. So 2 virtual people who help us out. And that's the makeup of the team for those newer members here who don't know. That's what we do. I was about to talk to you today about litigation, which is my main thing. And I've got this headline yesterday from our trade magazine. It said, "Crumbling courts exacerbate county court delays." And it just says about how the delays are affecting cases, and that's really what I wanted to talk to you about. So it's quite timely, really. So litigation is essentially court proceedings where you're suing for something. It can be anything. Okay? It doesn't matter what it is. But the world of litigation is changing, and it's changing not for the better, and like a lot of things in society. And the main things that are changing are legal costs. Legal costs, your case now gets allocated to one of 4 tracks, as they call them, and the track depends on what costs you get at the end of the case. And it's anything from no costs to some of your costs. The courts are making it more difficult to be in court, and they're making it easier for the richer will run the cases, and the lower end of the scale won't be able to afford to run cases. That's how it's going. So the court system is, the same as Scotland came into that, it's essentially broken, like a lot of things in society at the moment. You can't phone the courts anymore. You used to have to pick up the phone, have a chat with the court about your case and get a progress report. Can't do that anymore, not allowed to phone them. You can email the court and then you get an automatic response back. They'll respond in 90 days, 90 days. You can't go to the court office. There are various court offices dotted around. You used to be able to go to the court office, either issue some court proceedings or make an inquiry and deal with something. You can't do any of that anymore. So the court system is well and truly broken. And in terms of court cases, as this headline said, if you've got a small claims court, so the very end of the scale of court stuff, you'll be lucky to get it through the court system in 1 year, a whole year for your small claim, or your own money or whatever. And if you've got a bigger claim, up to sort of £25,000, £50,000, about 1.5 years to 2 years from when you started. It's quite disgraceful, really. So the court system is, to use the current phrase that's going on in the press, well and truly broken. So what are the options? There is good news, don't be too depressed. The options are the shuns, as I call them. And there's lots of shuns. There's negotiation, there's arbitration, there's neutral evaluation, there's mediation, and there's adjudication. There's probably more shuns, but they're the main ones. And they all form an umbrella group called ADR, Alternative Dispute Resolution. So they're your shuns, okay? My favourite shun is arbitration. Sorry, I lied. Don't think so. My favourite shun is mediation. I like mediation because I've done about 250 of them. I'm very comfortable in a mediation environment. So I thought I'd tell you a bit more about them today so that you can talk to people you come across who are bogged down in litigation or about to start the litigation process. You can now tell them why not to, what I've just told you, and hopefully you can steer them in my direction, even if they've got a solicitor. And I've done this before. I've taken a case over from someone who had a solicitor, so that we left the case alone. We went to the shun mediation, and we resolve the case, or try to. So, what sort of cases are suitable for mediation? Any sort of case. Personal injury, no problem. Just settle the personal injury case, got the client 690 grand in a mediation. Boundary disputes, commercial disputes, debt dispute, anything really, any sort of dispute is suitable for mediation. So how does it work? Well, traditionally what would happen is you go to a centre, let's say it's here, and you'd have 3 rooms. So one party would be in one room, the other party in another room, and the mediator, the person who does it, will be in the middle. And the mediator is the person that stops everyone doing this, right? That's his job, her job. And that was traditional, but nowadays, not just since COVID, but before COVID, it's not uncommon to do it by Zoom. I did a mediation where my client was on a boat in the Med, literally on her own boat in the Mediterranean. You could see things bobbing up and down outside the window. I was in my office in probably Hockley then, and the other side were in Southend. So it does work by Zoom. You don't always have to get together anymore as you did traditionally. And it worked quite well. That was a bit odd because the internet kept cutting off when she hit a big wave. So the mediator is very important in all this because they're the person who run the mediation. And if you get the wrong mediator, as Aidan will know, you're not going to settle that case. And by a wrong mediator, I mean someone who has got strong views about the case. They're either an expert on the issue that's being disputed. You really don't want someone, and that's their game, right? You want someone, preferably you don't want a barrister, you don't want a solicitor. They're far too dogmatic, they've got far too strong views. So I try and get a person who is just a mediator, they're not anything else. Some of them are barristers, some are solicitors, some are surveyors, and I try and avoid all of them, and I try and get someone who's got a bigger picture of the world, you know, got more life experience if you like. And the mediator's job, what's the mediator's job? It's not to tell you what's going to happen, it's not to impose a decision on you, it is to help you get your points of view from where they're here to bring you together, either to an agreement, which would be great, or to narrow the issues. They will not impose a decision on you. They might tell you what they think is going to happen, they might tell you what's going to happen if you don't reach an agreement, and it's usually they play the cost card and they say it's going to cost you thousands of pounds and it's going to take a long time. I've just demonstrated earlier how long it can take. So the mediator's job is to try and get you either to narrow the issues or hopefully to actually reach an agreement. You've nothing to lose by going to a mediation. If you don't settle your case in a mediation, you've absolutely nothing to lose because you walk away from the mediation and everything that was said in there is what's called without prejudice. You can't refer to it later in a court case and say, at the mediation they said they would take £5. At the mediation they said they would do this or that. Everything in the mediation is private. You can't repeat it outside. So really you've got nothing to lose by taking a case to mediation. What are their main benefits? Okay, so they're quick. You've just seen how long the court takes. I can organise a mediation within 4 to 6 weeks, but actually happening. They're cheap. The mediator usually charges each party around £500, and then you've got your lawyer's fees if you use a lawyer, but sometimes you don't need to. So they're relatively cheap. They're very informal. At a mediation, they're very informal, laid back, not like a court. And lastly, more importantly, they're really flexible. So if your claim is for a debt, but really behind the debt you want an apology from someone who slighted you, that's the real reason you're bringing the case. They've really cheesed you off, and that you're bringing the case because they cheesed you off. In the mediation, you can get, as part of the settlement, an apology. You say, that's really what I want my money, but actually I want an apology. Or there's a boundary dispute, if you really don't want that inch and a half of land, what you really want is something else. So in a mediation it can be really flexible, whereas in a court it's not. In a court you ask the judge for a specific remedy, I want some money or I want a boundary repositioned or whatever. In a mediation, no such thing. Anything goes. And I've had some weird and wonderful proposals put forward, you wouldn't believe some of them. And some of the time the parties have left the mediation, shaking hands, the parties who are opposition have gone and had a coffee afterwards. So mediation is very successful. I always try and encourage my clients to try and resolve it by mediation. Some of them are very resistant. The bigger clients of mine, they say, don't care about the money, don't care about how long it's going to take, just get on with the court case. The smaller clients, however, conversely, they are more interested in it because for them it's time and money and stress, etc. So I think for smaller business clients, mediation is more attractive. For larger clients, it's less attractive. It shouldn't be, by the way. It should be the same for everybody. But that's my experience dealing with, say, over 250 mediations. What are the cost consequences of not going to mediation? So if I propose mediation in a case and my opponent unreasonably refused to try and mediate it, there are cost consequences. And by that I mean, if the case goes to court, even if I lose my case, I can stand up and show the judge that we proposed mediation back in the day, the other side unreasonably refused it, and believe it or not, the losing party can get their costs. So the party who refused to mediate can end up paying all the costs of the court case, because there shouldn't have been a court case if they'd gone to mediation. Make sense? And there are actually cases where this has happened. So the cost consequences of refusing mediation can be quite severe. So you now know about mediation, you know more about it. What you also need to do is you need to consider when you're talking to people and they're a bit down, you know, it's talking about why I'm involved in this bloody court case. Again, it's driving me mad, it's costing me a fortune, I really can't afford it. I don't know why I got involved in it. You know what to do. Refer them to me. It doesn't matter, as I said earlier, whether they have a solicitor or not, because I'm happy to have a chat with them, tell them whether mediation is appropriate, and they might want me to do it or they might want to get their own lawyer to do it. But either way, you can send them down that route. It will keep them out of the broken court system, and it will almost certainly, I think the success rate is about 95% mediation, 90-95%, almost certainly result in a settlement. So, there we are. Shuns. Any questions on the shuns? Scott?
I've got a two-parter. First of all, the current state of this legal system, does that not encourage those kind of dodgy clients and criminals just to play to that and to not pay their bills and do those because they know that it's just not worth it?
Very much so. And I've got a case now, a team's helping with exactly that. They just sit and put, they know it's going to take a year and a half to go to trial.
And part two is about, I guess, going into a mediation, have I got to have a mindset of, okay, I'm owed £6,000, I'm prepared to accept X, or...
No. When you go to a mediation, you have to have a mindset that says, I want to resolve this case. Not anything specific. You have to go there saying, I say to my clients, if we can come out of the mediation with a deal that you can live with, we've done a good job. Not that you're happy with. If you come out of the mediation happy, something hasn't worked, you should come out of it, both parties should come out of it saying, okay, I can live with that, I can move on, yeah? And the other thing I forgot to mention, by the way, if you reach an agreement at the mediation, it's typed up or written out, signed by everybody, it's now a binding agreement. So when you leave there, there's no waking up the next morning regrets. You can't go back on it. Okay? You can't go, do you know what, no, I don't think that was such a great deal. It's signed, sealed, it's a binding agreement, yeah? But yeah, you're quite right, there are people who play the system. My one, I've actually warned my opponents and said, your conduct is going to be brought to the court's attention at the end of this case on the question of costs. They don't give a toss because their client hasn't got any money.
Is that a compromise?
No, none at all.
Rather than refusing mediation, which might go against me when I get pulled into court in terms of costs, if I go to the mediation but blatantly it's obvious I'm not willing to negotiate, would that go against me?
It's tricky because I can't refer to your conduct in the media. I have had one where for 3 hours the other side just sat there with his arms crossed and didn't say a word. But yeah, that does happen. It's very rare, but you spent the time and money to go there, you might as well try and resolve it right. But if you're just ticking the bomb, you're doing it right. Sure.
Similar kind of question. So, for instance, I would owe £10,000 in the example you gave. It's an absolute slam dunk. There's no question about it. I'm 100% owed that money. Would you still recommend going to mediation in that point? Because this is more than how quickly you want it.
If the other side are disputing it on the face of it, then yes. Let's say it's a sham defence. So what you go to the mediation, you tell the mediator their defence is a sham and you demonstrate why. And it's the mediator, that's why you've got to be a skilled mediator. It's the mediator's job to persuade them they're going to lose and they're going to get stuffed for a whole load of costs. So that's his job. So you've got to brief the mediator, and his or her job, if they're skilled enough, would be to look at it and say to the other side, you do realise that you can't win this case, it looks on what they're telling me, here it is. Do you realise that? Do you realise the consequences? So yeah, it happens again. But a decent mediator, and that's why I said you've got to steer away from barristers, solicitors, they're not good mediators generally. Too dogmatic, they've got too opinionated, too much to say for themselves. You want someone who's got a much more worldly experience of what they're doing.
Yeah, it's
Jane.
So I've been in mediation for a court case.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was interesting. It was absolutely fascinating. And it was done by telephone. He spoke to us first, and then he said he was going to speak to the other side, then he was going to come back to us. It was like that. So first of all, he was an extraordinarily calm and charming person who appeared to be 100% on our side, which was quite right because we were. But he made us feel that he understood our point. And he said to us, look, they're after £8,000 from you. And I said, totally erroneous. We've never even had a contract with them. He said, I understand. But would you pay £500 just to put this to bed and not go to court and claim back all your time? And I went, no, we probably would actually. So he said, so that's the starting point. That is a mediation. So he said, I'm going to speak to them. I went, good luck with that. So he went through. He was back to us within a minute and a half. He went, I see what you mean. He said, you will be going to court, and I wish you luck with it, because this person is so determined. Anyway, of course, he got thrown out within the first 5 minutes in court, because he had no contract with us.
A good mediator are very clued up. They catch on very quickly.
Yes.
They're not stupid, and they might not reveal everybody, but they know who's the goodie and who's the baddie, right? And although they can't impose their views, they can use their skills to try and persuade your case the other. You know, that's their job. It doesn't always work, but down on the whole, very successful.
Right.
Yeah, before the mediation, do both parties have to declare that they don't know the mediator in your way? Because what would happen if during the mediation it became apparent, let's say you were acting on one half, the other party knew the mediator, and they said, oh, Sally, you know, how's and then you started suspecting, oh, maybe they were quite friends, and they couldn't err on the side of them. What would you do?
First, I did my homework beforehand when I accused the mediator. If that happened, I would sue the mediator. Start again, do another thing. I just sue the mediator. Because they're all professional mediators, they're all qualified. If they did that, then yeah, I'd just sue them. Another job, isn't it? Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much. Right. Okay, let's get on with the referrals and testimonials round. And as usual, we'll start with Paul and work our way round. Please.
Right, yeah, excellent. Thank you, Vincent. As always, we can work on the still are, yeah. Yeah, good meeting. We've got plenty of monies for Scott, an ex-member, and Aidan.
That was fascinating. Really good stuff. And Stuart and I thinking, yeah, we wouldn't be meeting anything like that. Until you mentioned that they're going to get qualified. And that was a good extra Vincent like that. Very good. And thanks to Aidan for that help with the employment law issue. And we might have some more conversations on that.
Thank you, Terry. Fascinating as always. Let's start. Appreciate that. Let's be back. Enjoy the week. See you next week.
I've always found your presentations one of the most interesting features. Very sweet and very different. Terry was actively as a mediator. Then you had to speak to show owed money, but I didn't. And I made a very generous offer of £30 to her, but she refused. Went to court. Terry gave me advice and lasted 2 minutes and she was also good. It's see you next week.
Excellent, as always. Terry, you presented that sincere. I have every confidence in using you should I ever need to go down the mediation route. Vince, just a thought, great mid slot, of course. If you want it in ink, we'll do it in a blink. What is it? It needs working on. It's all work. I heard it on Classic FM this morning, it was a cartridge company.
Something wrong with those lines.
And I have an active record for Mike Skinner for that one.
This real one.
Yeah, we discussed this stuff.
Do investigate.
Yeah, great 10 minutes, Terry. I remember you did something about mediation probably a couple of years ago, and you said to me that a good with me. I've actually made the inquiries, and I've got some information about doing a course in Oxford to be accredited with the CMC, so that's going to happen sometime. When I've got some time. What else have we got? Good to see the Naughty Corner in its full complement, no interlopers. Speaking of interlopers, great Scott notes. I saw Sarah Steele during the week, been doing some work with her, not as a direct result of which Sarah, for those that don't know, Sarah's now on a sabbatical until 2nd of September, I think. But yeah, still happy to do Word and things like that, just not taking the sabbatical from that. And I have got a, these are all really wrong way, a one-to-one with Scott. Oh, sorry, wrong one. That's it. That's not confused. That's why I got confused. Sorry, one-to-one with Matt, and as a result of it, a referral to Matt. A one-to-one with Scott.
Yeah, genuine. We did check these things.
And as a result of which, a referral to Blake. B2B synergy. And oh yeah, Brian, I've got a new client who wants me to sort his business out and needs somebody to sort his smoking out. So I'll have a chat with him and see if I can refer him. Okay? Smoking. Papa.
10 minutes presentation.
Hi all, Vince, great educational slot. I love my new motto, I'm going to use that mate, thank you very much. Terry, I love that 10 minutes, honestly, I'm so grateful to know you. I feel sorry for anyone. And also this is a thank you to you, testimonial, for your advice the other day, really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Good head slot links. Best I came up with is a good bit of print will make you a minute. Terry, yeah, fantastic. I mean, we're really fun to see someone that I imagine quite a bit fun with, so I'm just one to did. Definitely remember. Thank you for the money to James, who's not here. Did a headshot for the DJ last week, who knows, and a one-to-one with James and Paul tomorrow. I'm doing it now because I'll forget those.
Thank you.
Good meeting everyone. Great should be using my template on the one time. Right, 10 minutes, Terry. I'm always grateful with one on this side of you, not on the other side of you. Toby had a one-to-one with Scott, but ended up in a referral from Toby to me, which ended up in a thank you for the money to Toby. Can you repeat that again?
Is that thank you for the money to Scott then?
Excellent presentation, really loved yours, and I've worked with you on a number of different bits over the years, always successful, so thank you very much. Went to see Paul during the week, that's just a referral. Oh, hang on, back. Thank you. A referral for another year's worth of field support service. First referral come in for David, who's not here but knows about it. It's supplying electrics to a new school in Reading. Brian, as I put through the referral system yesterday, somebody on Facebook was looking for hypnotherapy around public speaking. I recommended you on there. They're going to get in touch.
Sort it out, Scott.
Sorry. Another one for David, who's coming to certify and check all the electrics in my scout bit here. On exactly the same, Paul is going to send one of his pods along to the scout hut to do all of the plumbing system. And thank you to Andy for the money, thank you to Toby for the money for some more from again.
Oh, cool.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, well done, Terry. Good presentation. Even though I understood it. Pass that to Stuart, please. Referral on virtual Zoom. And I attended the synergy team meeting, and that was excellent as always. Learned a little bit more about more of us. That's what he's done, Terry.
Yeah, well, I did and I think I've got a few, but some of them are not very nice. Maybe I have to tone them down a bit. I'm finished with a quick statement. Not pleasant, okay? Thank you very much for your help. And attend the B2B, and thank you for money for Nick Cook. Where's Nick? There he is. Put that in for our friends from Mattis, and there's another one, isn't there?
Oh, goodness.
Really good 10 minutes. Ran some very interesting cases, especially with summons as well. They expect big, like size of and then they knocking on the door saying, here we go. Good expert as well. And I'll see you all next week.
Long before they read it.
Yeah.
Paul, you're very welcome to use that as a memory book. I will do. But please just bear in mind, spring, summer, autumn, winter, give me a call if you need a printer.
Wow. That's a good job.
Yeah, great. It's what we use applied technologies as security because no one remembers our name. Technology just goes on the hint. Great 10 minutes. You've helped us out really well. We went to arbitration ACAS. The guy didn't accept it. Terry went to court. Well, nearly went to court for us, and the guy rejected it the day before, wasn't it? And decided to accept what we'd offered in the first place. I got a referral for Dave, sort of, but I need to check his iPath license first before I can give it to him. But iPath, scissor lift. He's not allowed to work on a scissor lift unless he's done the course. So I'll put that through once he's replied to me. Have you got an iPath license?
No, but you will sit at this week.
I'll see you all next week. I know, so he's to see you.
Terry, fantastic, thank you very much. Please, as well. I haven't got too much more to say apart from please, I did say check the passports. There's 2 people that I've sent off that didn't and they couldn't go. So, you know, I go so far, I can remind them, but if they don't do it, they can come unstuck. So please, if you're travelling,
just gently to all as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you.
Thanks for having me today. I thought that was an excellent meeting. Really enjoyed your 10 minutes on Terry. Very interesting and also great info. Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry? Yes, please.
Wait, it's not Vince, well done. Great 10 minutes. Terry, can I have a quick overview of the incident, please? And I've got half an hour to kill if anyone wants to run to one. See you all next week.
Thank you very much. So Terry, it was a great presentation. Provided us with an education full of fascination. All right. It was really good. Thank you. And also Vincent, a great way to start us off. Put a smile on our faces, gave us food for thought. We love all of that. I have a synergy meeting called B2B one. Thank you, Dave. I have another referral for Dave Roberts. Because when you live in a house that was put up in 1827, you're going to be a really good source of referrals for plumbers, electricians, roofers. If we had a roofer, structural, yes, exactly. Personally, always life coach. And then lastly, if you've not been to Barcelona, you need to go. 3 days, fabulous, wonderful city. Tons to see, do and eat. I honestly recommend. Oh, it's fabulous. They sell horse meat if you're so inclined. Well done, that's a great idea. Thanks, Liz.
Oh, yes. Today's batch of referrals. Winner from it's yours. You get to put it back in. That's mine, isn't it?
Yeah, see how you put it out in the middle.
From
was about to say, but there was no corruption, so I'll take it. That's great. Thank you very much, Terry. Right. Today, special request from Vincent that to be maintained is the checking of images.
The referral reality check. Looking back on referrals in the past, just to check in and see what they may or may not have turned into. So first was from Nick to John. Access control device for nursing home, all that stuff.
You're a nursing home?
Wait, I'll be contacted.
Wait, I've been badgering my client. He has yet to move on the subject, and I'm doing
Okie dokie. The second from last week is from me to Jane. More info please on the cookery course for Benji. Yeah, Ben's really interested. I think Sarah's going to go along. We've just got to finalise and sort of.
I sent you a few more details.
Yeah, that's great. So that's most likely to happen. Next one from Matt to me. 80-mile mining website. Yes, it's happening. It's on the list. It's happening. You know one more? One more. Paul Booth, James Humphreys, office insurance renewal.
Yes.
Done? We'd like to hear. Thank you.
Excellent. That will become a feature which it was before, but COVID destroyed a lot of this because we just have a different format for the meeting.
Yes.
And things like this went by the wayside, but we gradually. Right. I'm about to send you on your way. Bright sunshine, wonderful day in prospect, but has anybody got any announcements to make before I do? Jake?
Oh, thank you. Next Thursday is Synergy Meeting Day. Straight after the meeting outside, give me a second, I'll tell you the topic. So the topic is, it doesn't matter whether you enjoy your job or not, as long as it's well paid. Question mark. We're just going to chat about that, money versus enjoyment. So straight after the meeting, if you can, they usually only last 35 or so minutes, so see if you can get last points, make prizes.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
You stimulate us as always. Look.
Myself, Scott, John, on Sunday going to Airsoft. If anyone else would like to join us, if anyone knows anyone was interested in starting and wants to come along, please do.
Thank you.
Terry does. I'm sorry, Terry does.
If anyone wants to leave that,
Oh.
perfectly printed.
Right. And the only other thing is, yes, when you're Scott.
Last week we began to play with the idea of a podcast.
Yes.
I've put a little bit of thought into a few things and some comments and a show of hands of interest in interested parties. Not next week, obviously, because we had the synergy meeting, but I'm proposing maybe the week after we sit down inside and just chat it through, see if it could have legs, we could turn it into something. But you're already ready, I know you're already there. So, a couple of weeks' time, let's just natter through the idea and see if it can be something useful.
Yeah. Excellent, yeah. And the only other thing is when you address a meeting, you shouldn't have your hands in your pockets, but I'm going to send you on your way.
It's like a podcast.
Please go. Please go. I'll see you later.